In this video, we're going to check out a nice RPG I made in 2 weeks for a game jam. It features an overmap with enemies and NPCs, a turn-based battle system, and a nice small story with dialogue and cutscenes. Let's begin! Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey, and this channel is all about helping you learn how to make your own games with in-depth tutorials made by a professional indie game developer. So if you find the video helpful, consider subscribing. So first of all, this game is an entry to the Easy Allies Gleany's Cauldron Game Jam. You can play the game on itch, and like every other video on the channel, you can download the project files from the website. I've been a big fan of Easy Allies since they were game trailers, and I've been meaning to join a game jam for some time. If you're not familiar with Easy Allies, they are a group of awesome people who cover gaming news, reviews, and more, so check out their YouTube channel. So with this being such a unique and interesting game jam, I thought it was time to give it a shot. The uniqueness of the game jam was in making a game with a bunch of weird rules designed to annoy the player. For example, one of the rules was to make a character that randomly trips up the player. Another one is to have the characters constantly talk about Mountain Dew and have a very garish looking armor. The end result of all that is a nice small RPG with a turn-based battle system with various characters and enemies. The game is actually quite complex, and the reason I've been able to make it in such a short amount of time is due to what I always talk about the videos, which is the importance of writing clean, reusable code. As I go through an overview of how the game was made, you will see many elements which were created previously and simply added onto this game. So if you've been following the channel for some time, you might recognize various elements. Let's start off by going through part of the game, and then we'll go more in-depth into how each system works. If you'd like, you can pause the video right now and go play the game, then come back here to continue watching. The game is rather quick, only around 20 minutes, so go play it right now so the video doesn't spoil anything. Alright, let's get to it. We start off in a rather simple main menu. Here we just have a button to play and one to quit. As we hit play, we can see the recipe, which are the weird rules that the game must abide by. So as you can see, we have an extremely annoying sidekick. Then the button to talk to the NPCs is the same as the use consumable. The player has a different sprite in the portrait. The enemy wins in a cutscene, and so on. Okay, so continue. Here are the controls, very simple movement and interaction. Now here we are in the game itself, and we start the story. We have a simple dialogue system with some text writing. Once the intro text is done, then here we are in the overmap. So here we can move around, very simple movement, and we keep moving and encounter our first enemy. We talk to him, and after a while we go into our battle screen. So here we are in a very simple turn-based battle system. I've actually covered this in a separate video last week. Now we can do our simple attack. There he goes, attacks. Once it's done, it's the enemy's turn and he does his own attack, and in this case he missed. So we can keep attacking him and destroy him. We go back into the overmap and the enemy has been destroyed. Keep going. And we go into another fight. Now here we are, and on this battle system we also have a special move. The special differs per character, so our 3 different classes have 3 different special attacks. This one is a powerful kick, so press it and boom, there he goes. Then when it's done, it's on a cooldown, so we now do our normal attacks to defeat that one. Right, there it is, another one. Now we keep going, and eventually you find our character, which is blocking our passage. First he starts off as an enemy, so we need to defeat him. And now we won, and now he joins our team. As he joins, his annoying sidekick comes along with us. So just like that, we now have another member in our party. Now Sleazer again, one of the rules is to trip me up, and yep, he does it right away, so I cannot move, and that is indeed quite annoying. So we keep going into this nice map, and as we reach the town, we have to go and talk to this NPC, which is the other rule, where another NPC just randomly has the exact same sprite as the player, and it is never explained. Then we keep going and go into a nice simple tavern. And over here we get ambushed by enemies. There you go, some nice particle effects, and yep, we go into another battle. So now we have 2 members in our team against 3 enemies. So I can do a normal attack with this one. And now on the tank character, it has a different special, so we hit it, and yep, there you go, a nice AoE attack. And yep, we win. When we win, then the healer, which is the final character, joins our party. Alright, so this is the basics for how the game goes. We move around the map, we talk to NPCs, follow a story, and battle in a turn-based battle system. So this is a fully functional, simple RPG that was built in 2 weeks, and you can go to itch to play the whole game. And also you can download the project files from the website so you can see how all of this is set up. So now that we've seen an overview, let's see how each system is set up and what systems I've managed to reuse. Starting with the main menu, here it is, very simple. We just have some buttons to play and quit, and a bunch of extra buttons with information on the side. The way the transitions are made is essentially with different subs. So we start off with the sub main, then we hit play, then we go into the recipe play, so this one shows, then we go into the controls, and then we go into the game. So here we are in the main menu, hit play, and there you go, and the text is animated and pops up over time. And we hit play, and here it is, just a simple thing, and hit play. Okay, so here we are in our game scene. We start off with some story exposition. So in here I've made this simple dialogue system. It is very simple. It only has 2 possible characters and text being written. Right now there's only 1 character talking, so the right one is hidden, so we can pause in order to go up here and to look at our UI. And here it is, the dialogue window and how it's set up. So we have a left character, then a right character, which is currently hidden, left chat bubble, right, left name, and right name. This is a very simple dialogue system, but the game is meant to be extremely simple, so it's perfect for this scenario. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a video dedicated to building a dialogue system. Now, one of the rules is for the player sprite to be different in the portrait and in the overmap, so that's why the player has that sprite, and in here the portrait is different. Once we get through the starting story, here it is, our main character. The movement code was made in the simple character movement video, so I can move him around with the keyboard, but it would also be possible to use gamepad input. Now over here we have some hitboxes, so if I go in there I cannot leave the map, so the player is constrained to the playing area. And if we pause, we can see how the map is set up. So here it is, the entire game. These game objects are what defines the various events that happen over the course of the game. So as you can see in here, the player starts off in here. This starts off the first enemy that has a specific text, then the second one, then the tank gets spawned in here, the sleazer, and so on. So as we move, you can see everything is set up. The map is all inside a nice game object, where we have the visuals and also our hitboxes. So there you go, these are all the hitboxes. So here, for example, you can see there's an invisible hitbox here to make sure that the player correctly interacts with this enemy before going through. When he defeats this enemy, then this hitbox won't become disabled, so the player can keep moving, and so on and so on. So in here, the same thing, this one is blocked, then he defeats the tank, then the sprite and the hitbox both get vanished. And as you can see on the entire map, it's pretty simple, since this is a very simple game jam game. So we simply have this path, so the player goes here, then keeps moving, fights the evil monster, gets stuck in the dungeon, moves towards the evil monster 2, goes back into the dungeon, then this hitbox disappears, then he moves through into the third evil monster encounter. For the enemies, you can see that they have some very simple roaming behavior. So there he is stopped, and after a while he simply moves to a position nearby his spawn position. And all the NPCs are simply idle and just standing around. The code for the enemy overmap is also very simple. Since all the combat is done on a separate scene, the code in here simply looks to see if the player is nearby and move towards him. So in here, if the player is within a certain target range, then he moves towards him, and if he's within a attack range, then we handle our interaction, which then, depending on this character type, it will either load the starting cutscenes, or it will simply load an enemy encounter. Okay, so let's approach our first enemy. Here we are, let's move to the right, and there's the enemy right there. He sees me, moves towards, and engages the cutscene. Now you can see that the dialogue is between 2 characters. So here's the dialogue window, and as you can see, the left character is now slightly faded, which simply means this one is on gray. Now we keep talking, and there you go, some nice text writer on the text, along with some sound. And after a while, here we go into our battle. Now I've covered the creation of this turn-based battle system in the last video, so go check that out to see how it was made. Here, this one has a couple more features, like for example multiple targets and special attacks. But the basics are do a normal attack, there you go, attacks, now it's his turn, now he goes, attacks, and so on. Right, so once we defeat him, we go back into our overmap, and the enemy was killed, so he no longer gets spawned when we go back into the overmap. Let's go into another battle, just so we can take some damage. Okay, so here we are, we took some damage, and now we need to go back into the overmap. There you go, our health matches. So the health carries between battle to battle. How that is set up is by using a simple character class. So let's see how it's set up. Here it is, the character class. Over here we have a type for each unique type. Then we also have some basic stats. And down here on our constructor, we receive a type, and based on that type we initialize the stats. So here the player starts off with 35 attack, 120 health, and so on. The game instantiates a character when the game starts and keeps him in memory throughout the whole game. That memory is stored here in a game data class. We have the various states that handle the story state, and all the characters are stored in a simple list. So they get initialized just once, and there you go, everything is like that. For adding them, here it is manually adding all the important characters. So the player, tank, Sleazer, and the healer. And then it cycles through the map, which is the map prefab that you saw previously, and we instantiate the characters. That means in order to edit the map, all we need to do is go in here and modify our prefab. So in here I could add an enemy in here by simply duplicating that game object and adding it in there. The data that is used to instantiate the character is stored in this simple mono behavior. So it uses the position of the game object and then these stats to make sure which character it should be spawned. So that's pretty much how the world design works. Just a bunch of game objects that define positions and what character type should be on that position. Okay, now let's continue with the game. Now after fighting the first two, we reach the tank blocking the tower entrance. Now there are 4 types of characters on the overmap. There's the player, then there's the enemies, then we have NPCs and followers. Right now the tank is an NPC, so he's just standing around and not doing anything. By being near an NPC and pressing the interact button, I can start a cutscene. The cutscene that gets started depends on the game state. So the game state is stored in here on the game data. As you can see, we have just a very simple state variable and with the various states. So we do a switch, and if we are interacting with an NPC and we are on a certain state, then we start a certain cutscene. Okay, so over here we talk to the tank, very simple. And again, here we are back in our battle scene with a different enemy type. And over here I can now use a special for a very powerful kick. Now he attacks, he does his normal attack, and now normal attack. Okay. So just like this, now I've defeated the tank, and we go back into the overmap, and again it uses state to load the correct cutscene. And over here we talk, select his name, and go back to the overmap. So here we are back in the overmap, and Sleazer immediately does his own thing. Now the tank is a follower instead of an NPC, so that means he keeps track of the distance to the player, and if it's far enough, he moves towards him. And that's it. Sleazer has a timer on his script, and after a certain amount of time, there you go, he runs towards the player. As soon as he gets within a certain distance, the player trips up, plays a small animation, and can no longer move until it gets back up and everything proceeds. So you see, we also have various chat bubbles being popped up. These ones related to the Fountain Dew are simple prefabs, so they simply get instantiated. They are static prefabs in order to be able to have an image in the middle of the text, whereas the other ones where the Sleazer says and he replies, those are dynamic chat bubbles, meaning that the background extends based on the text. So those are very similar to how the tooltip works. Okay, continuing with the game, we also have a nice quest arrow pointer. This was also created in a previous video. You saw it previously pointing towards the tank with an exclamation mark, and right now it's pointing there to the right, and if we approach, there you go, the position turns into an X. And when we get within a certain distance of our target, there you go, we'll load another cutscene. When we finish this cutscene, there you go, it's now pointing into a different direction and with a different color, and as soon as we go, there you go, we nice exclamation point. Again, check out the dedicated video to see how that works. It's a very simple element. Now this character here is the one that is exactly like the player, but never acknowledged. So we talk to him, and now we go towards the tavern. And over here we have a bunch of NPCs just playing a simple idle animation. Over here is the healer, which is currently just an NPC, so he's not doing anything. And when we approach this position, it will load another cutscene where the enemies will ambush us. Now how that is set up, we can see over here, pause, and go over here, and here they are. They get spawned right here in this corner. So they're essentially just out of view. And when we start the cutscene, we will play some nice particle effects, and then they will be teleported onto their correct positions. So let's see that in action. Here we go, start the cutscene. Alright, now see the particle effects. And now those characters get teleported in there. As you can see, they are no longer on the corner. Okay, so now is a good time to look at how the cutscenes are set up. Over here is a nice static class that contains all of the cutscenes. So down here we can go to the Tavern ambush. Here it is, the Tavern ambush cutscene. So in this case, we start off by destroying the pointer. Then we show the UI black background. We stop the overmap from running, so all the enemies stop roaming. Then we set the dialogue actions. The dialogue is very simple, so it only works linearly, so essentially every action follows another one. So we set those actions, then we go into the very first one where we show the dialogue window, then show the left character with this sprite, show the left character name, left text, hide the right character, right text, right name. Then when we go into the cutscene for the enemy spawning, here it is, we get the player position, then we position the enemies, instantiate some smoke particles, and then we hide them. So they are hidden whilst the smoke animation is playing, and after a short amount of time, they become visible. All the timing is handled in here by the function timer, which is a class from the CodeMonkey utilities that you can get from the website. Then we keep going through our dialogue. The enemy says his text, and then we load our enemy encounter. So all of the cutscenes in the game are handled by this class. So as you can see, all of them: play tank after join, play tank before join, and so on. We have all of them. Okay, so back into our game. Let's go through the dialogue and into battle. And here, as you can see, we have multiple enemies, and also the tank is now on our team. So we can select the target. Let's hit that one up there. And now again, the special attack is different, so we can now try out the tank special attack. And there you go, a nice AoE effect. Okay, let's defeat them. And here we are, now we meet the healer. So now with all the team members in our party, we can carry on with our quest. Well, as soon as Sleazer lets me go, so let's wait. And yep, there it is, he is indeed very annoying. Okay, so keep going, and we're going to go into our shopkeeper and talk to him. And there you go, a very simple dialogue. And when it's done, we have the simplest basic shop possible. And here we just have a very basic UI window. Here it is, a UI window with just a few buttons. The arm button is disabled, and the others add points to either our health or our fountain dew amount. So just click on it, and there you go, our integer goes up, and the store goes out of stock, and so on. Now these ints are stored over here on the game data. We just have two very simple ints. Okay, so we keep going with the game, and now the last thing that I want to show is the animated cutscenes. So here we are fighting the evil monster for the first time. Now the rules say that the monster should somehow miraculously win the fight even though we kill him. So we get him down to 0 HP. Okay, let's see if he dies on this hit. And there you go, as soon as he dies, plays the animated cutscene, and here we go, he goes, and he spawns from behind, and he punches the player. So just like that, he miraculously won, even though we actually destroyed him. And when we're done, again, based on our game state, we now get teleported into the dungeon, and we start in here. So here we meet the other character, and after talking to him for a while, he decides to untie us. And there you go, just simple movement and destroying the rope game objects before continuing on with the dialogue. There you go, the same particle effect, he vanishes, and here we are back into the cutscene. So that's pretty much it for all of the unique elements of the game. So again, if we pause, we can see the entire path of the game. So we are right here in the dungeon. So now the goal is to go in here, meet the evil monster for the second time, and we're going to lose again. Then we go back here, then this blockage gets destroyed. And we can then go and find the third battle where we can finally win. Let's just go over here to the second shop, which has the Fountain Dew armor. And that is again here on the character spawn data. Simply a Boolean has Fountain Dew armor. So when this shopkeeper is spawned, he has the armor. So let's meet him. And also whilst in the overmap, we can press space in order to use one of the health potions, and we heal everyone on the team. Okay, so here we are, talk to him, and he has the armor available, so click on it, and there you go, we equip the armor, and there it is, it replaced our previous body. So now the player is wearing the special armor. Now the way this works is by replacing pixels on the player sprite sheet. So in here we can pause, look at the player sprite sheet, and there you go, there's the player sprite sheet, and as you can see it has this body. Whereas previously we can see the original sprite sheet. Here it is, the original sprite sheet. As you can see, this body was replaced. And it was replaced with this one in here. This one. So we just copy pasted these pixels onto the player sprite sheet. Check out the videos I've done on the get sprite sheets as used in Battle Royale Tycoon, which explains how to read and copy pixels. So you simply merge textures dynamically based on certain logic. So in this case, when he equips the special armor. Alright, and just for the animated cutscene, how that works. Here it is that is handled in a different scene. So in here we have the cinematic one, which is the one where they lose. And here you can see how it is set up. So it's very simple. There's just an animation game object with a animation. And over here we have the various poses of the characters. And if we go into the animation, we can play it. And there you go. First plays through that one, then that one shows up, then that one shows up, then that one goes in there, and that one goes in there. And after a while, there you go. After 7 seconds, we then load back into the overmap. So this is the cutscene where they lose, and then the other cutscene where they win. So here it is with a bunch more character poses. And again, the same thing, just a game object with a animation. And we play it and it goes like that. The player defeats, goes, but then he defeats him, and then he's on the floor, and Slither picks up the weapon, and then he's standing around, and Slither stabs him in the back, and there you go, Slither wins the day. And yep, there it is. Alright, so that's pretty much it for our in-depth overview. This was a very interesting game to make, and I'm quite pleased with the end result. It's a very nice, simple, old-school RPG. You can get the project files yourself and try to expand upon it by making different maps and different story. As you saw, the game is quite complex, even though it was built in just 2 weeks. The reason is because I was able to reuse quite a lot of code from previously made elements. So as I always say, make sure you always write clean code so you can reuse it in the future. Many thanks to Easy Allies for setting up such a silly game jam, and if you're interested in keeping up with gaming news and reviews, go check them out on YouTube. As always, you can download the project files and utilities from unitycodemonkey.com. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel for more Unity tutorials. Post any questions you have in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Alright, see you next time.